koe te pika tēnā tātou katoa te whare. So I have a 5-minute window here, te pika, where the coalition government must listen to me even if they can't hear me. So, and it's to say this, to object profusely to this shockingly flawed, ignorant, trauma-informed, sanctimonious piece of legislation. It's a nonsense. Our job, Te Pāti Māori, is to stand and make the points that only we can make as our job. We relish the responsibility to bring the voice, the aspirations, and the solutions of our whānau mokopuna to this House. When Dame Whina Cooper said, "Not one more acre," back in 1975, we saw our people rise to the occasion. We need only reflect on the change her words incited to understand what it means for our people in today's climate when I say, "Not one more mokopuna." This was the phrase plastered onto posters of all New Zealanders, Māori, Pākehā, tangata tiriti, held when they ascended from Te Hiko o Tika, Te Rerenga Wairua, tai mai ki tēnei pito, onto Parliament grounds in a very peaceful hikoi, Mr. Speaker. This poster sits on the wall in my office, and next to it another poster, which reads, 1/3 of mokopuna in state care, whakapapa to Ngāpuhi. This reality means that mokopuna no te tai tokerau are left trying to fight alone in a system that denies the very essence of who they are and who they come from. This threat is aggravated knowing that without Section 7A, our tamariki will have their Māoritanga severed, despite the Minister saying this, that there will be cultural components, that there will be cultural elements, as if culture is something you carve up and you compartmentalise, and then you expect that that might be enough culture and custom for the day. This severed line will last generations. What the Minister ignores or is ignorant to the fact is that culture is a protective factor. I wish that she knew that and would repeat it and think about that. Mr. Speaker, this House already knows what severed lines and broken generations looks like because the AIC report told us so really clearly. That when you systematically divest and deprive mokopuna Māori of their culture, you make fodder and victims of our children, of families, of whānau. Dare I say, the apology made by the Minister of Education that day is already falling short of its promise to never do it again. For noting, Mr. Speaker, the original intent of Section 7AA was to hold Oranga Tamariki, a tragically failing care system, because 14 failed reports told them so, accountable. It demanded that they finally reduce disparities by setting measurable outcomes for Tamariki Māori, Madam Speaker. It was designed to assist and help. In the removal of Section 7AA, the government seeks to persist in the abuse and harm of mokopuna in state care, the theft of generations, an experience that many other Indigenous peoples across the globe have endured. Nevertheless, this theft has sparked a new wave of Māori activism. Removing our rights has only united our people. It is our job to serve and to do what is best by our tamariki and mokopuna Māori. Mokopuna Māori are our lifeline. They hold the key for our future as tangata whenua, and while state care continues to threaten their undeniable potential, we know that the return to us will be the right thing to do. Ngāpuhi Paipai at Waitangi turned their back on David Seymour, his party and everything he stands for. We too, Pāti Māori, turn our back on David Seymour, the Minister, and insist that they do the right thing and tear the bill up. Kia ora tātou.
Well, that's very strong words to say about tear the bill up, even though I do feel that's such a Te Pāti Māori cliche that seems to be what they're known for bad legislation, as we would call it.
Mm-hmm. You want to know a funny thing about this bill? It was first proposed by the John Key government under his party, under their national party. So I think it's very funny.
To introduce what later became Section 7AA.
Yep. So it was national. That got the ball rolling on that one. So I find it very funny how activists and this current national party is trying to undo all of that.
Yeah. It's like, what's the next party they're going to sit there and try and undo? Jim Bolger?
Yeah. I don't trust ACT with anything. ACT to me now represents another child traumatized. That's what ACT stands for now. As far as I'm concerned, you know, it's like, don't put children around the ACT party if you know about Tim Jago and David Seymour's activities.
Mm.
What I would say about to Laura's point about the 7AA stuff being brought in by the John Key government, you've got to remember that at that time the National Party were very liberalised. They had a lot more liberal candidates in their party. So this is a lot more extreme of a national party than the 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14 era. shifted more right when they used to be sort of centre for me, more liberal.
I'll go in further than that. I'll jump in here. One of the briefings I gave to the New Zealand Māori Council before the last election, because there was a view that we've dealt with national governments before, and at the end of the day, we can normally do business with them. And I said, this will not be a national government. I said, look back in history. I said, the National Party is actually the amalgamation of two parties, being the United and the Reform Party, to form a united anti-Labour bloc back in the 1930s. Mm-hmm. That is what their whole purpose was, not to stand for anything, but to oppose the Labour Party. That was their only raison d'etre. They'd add on things about small business and enterprise and stuff like that later, but really their reason for existing was to oppose something.
Yep.
So that I think is the starting point. Now within that, and it's not a simple urban-rural divide, because historically you've seen some amazing national rural MPs. And so this is what I said. I said, in the past, we've always had a Jack Marshall, a Ralph Hannon, a Duncan McIntyre, a Doug Graham, a Chris Finlayson around the table so we can do business. Who do we have now? Simeon Brown. That's what we've got. That's what we've got. And I mean, my cousin Tama Pōtaka is nothing but an embarrassment. I'll be really blunt about this, Tama. If you're listening in, you need to listen in and you put your ears on, because I don't think your taringa are working very well. I think they're simply painted on at the moment, because here's the deal. I've listened to your interviews where you support the Prime Minister, where you support the Minister of the Education. You are nothing but their lackey. You were sent to some of the best schools in the world not to be a lackey for a weak Prime Minister.
Imagine having a jellyfish for your Prime Minister.
It's just, you know, the thing is, what you've got is a weak Prime Minister, an economy that is tanking. A chunk of that, to be honest, is the Reserve Bank having to try and put inflation back into the bottle. And that's not an easy thing to do. And I will cut Nicola Willis a break, as she did inherit a structural deficit, which needed to be closed. So I'll give her a break there. But the way she's gone about it has been appalling. And again, I'll give a comparison. I was in Treasury when Bill English became the Minister of Finance in the global financial crisis. No, sorry, I was in NAF policy. And I remember briefing Bill English on what we thought was going to be the bankruptcy of Fonterra. And that was potentially going to be like our General Motors going down the drain and having to bail it out. Now, the difference between Bill English, who the first year, he came in the intake of 1990. So he remembered the 1991 mother of all budget. And he said that if he was ever finance minister and ever faced a crisis, he would never do a mother of all budgets. Yeah. And if you look at what he did, despite all of the criticism, he very carefully kept health in check, he kept education in check, and it took him 8 years to bring the government back into balance and then handed over an extremely sound set of books. Mm-hmm. This government is borrowing more money than the last one. They do not have COVID as an excuse, and 15 billion of that is for tax cuts that were completely unfunded. Yeah. The support package that went out during COVID, the initial wage support package, was only 12 billion. It cost us 12 billion to rebuild Christchurch after the earthquake. They have given away 15 billion for absolutely no reason. That is the level of stupid in this government. So if you want to use the term stupid, it is not just limited to David Seymour, it is actually across the government. And it is manifest with a national.
This National Party is what happens when you take John King and hit him over the head with a baseball bat. to put it bluntly.
Now,
Well,
this
this
is going to sound trumping my own horn here, but I today sold coffee at the Corey Carnival. I'll be honest, I didn't meet the targets that I thought I would have met. But I'm planning to go back next year because I actually like the organisation who runs it. And speaking to the stallholders around there, it's like they were down on last year, and their main reason that they believed behind it was the economy, nothing to do with the event. And this was in Nicola Willis's backyard. Yeah. So that is something that's in there. I'm looking at doing it next year. I like the organisers; they're brilliant. We need more organisers like the Corey Lions Club.
Corey Lions Club are awesome, and to be honest, this is not exactly a decile one part of town.
No.
So if they're finding it hard, go out to the decile one parts of town. They're finding it really hard.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook.